It happened faster than anyone expected. And in a sport where partnerships usually take months, if not years, to develop, that speed alone made people stop and pay attention. Just days after one of the most talked about horse sales in international dressage, a new combination entered the arena and delivered an immediate victory, leaving many wondering whether they had just witnessed the beginning of something much bigger. When Rose Oatley rode down the center line with Alive and Kicking, this was not supposed to be a fully polished partnership. It was supposed to be the beginning of a process, a gradual introduction between a talented young rider and a proven Grand Prix mare. Instead, what unfolded looked remarkably complete, as if the two had been working together for far longer than they actually had. The performance was confident, controlled, and perhaps most strikingly harmonious in a way that suggested this pairing was not simply experimenting, but already competing. To understand why this moment matters, it is important to step back and look at the context surrounding it. Alive and Kicking, a 12-year-old Westphalian mare by All at Once, had already established herself as a serious contender on the international stage. Under Charlotte Dujardin, she had achieved Grand Prix success and was widely considered a horse with championship potential. Her sale, therefore, was not just another routine transaction within the sport. It was a transfer of proven talent, a shift in competitive power, and a move that immediately drew attention from across the dressage world. The mare's new home within the Oatley family system added another layer of significance. This is not simply a group of owners. It is a structured, well-resourced operation with a clear history of acquiring and developing top-level horses. With Christy Oatley's Olympic experience and the family's growing influence in European dressage, the acquisition of a horse like Alive and Kicking felt deliberate rather than opportunistic. It was a move that suggested long-term planning, strategic investment, and a clear intention to compete at the highest level. At the center of this system stands Rose Oatley, a rider who has steadily built a reputation through consistent success in youth championships and international competition. She is not an unknown quantity, but this moment represents a different level of expectation. Transitioning from young rider success to the demands of Grand Prix competition is one of the most difficult steps in dressage, and it is a transition that has ended many promising careers before they truly began. Yet, in this case, the early signs suggest that the step may not be as daunting as it usually is. The debut itself, described as a fast victory, carried a weight that went beyond the result alone. Winning immediately with a new horse is rare at any level, but at Grand Prix, it is particularly unusual. Horses at this level are sensitive to even the smallest changes in rider input, and the process of building trust, understanding, and consistency typically requires time. The fact that this partnership appeared so settled so quickly raises important questions about both the horse and the rider. On one hand, Alive and Kicking demonstrated exactly why she was so highly regarded. Her ability to adapt to a new rider without losing quality, expression, or confidence suggests a level of training and mental resilience that is essential for success at the top of the sport. On the other hand, Rose Oatley's performance indicated a level of feel and technical skill that allowed her to step into that partnership without disrupting it. The balance between maintaining what already exists and quietly shaping it into something new is one of the most difficult aspects of riding, and it is something that cannot be easily taught. This moment also reflects a broader shift within modern dressage, where the movement of top horses between riders and nations has become increasingly common. The sport is no longer defined solely by long-term partnerships developed over many years. Instead, it is increasingly influenced by strategic acquisitions, international ownership structures, and the ability to match the right horse with the right rider at the right time. In this environment, success is not only about training and talent, but also about access, opportunity, and timing. The Oatley family's growing presence within the system highlights how competitive dressage has evolved into something that resembles a global network, rather than a collection of isolated national programs. Horses, riders, trainers, and owners are connected across borders, and decisions made in one stable can have immediate implications for competition results in another. The arrival of Live and Kicking within this network is therefore not just a personal milestone for Rose Oatley, but a development that could influence the competitive landscape more broadly. At the same time, it is impossible to ignore the context surrounding the mare's previous rider and the wider conversations currently shaping the sport. Charlotte Dujardin's recent history has placed increased scrutiny on training methods, horse welfare, and the standards expected at the highest level of competition. As a result, every horse that transitions from one system to another carries with it a degree of scrutiny about how it will present under new management. Observers are not only watching for performance outcomes, but also for subtle changes in way of going, relaxation, and overall expression. This adds another layer of interest to the partnership between Rose Oatley and Alive and Kicking. It is not simply about whether they can win, but about how they achieve those results and what their performances reveal about the training and management behind them. In a sport that is increasingly under public scrutiny, these details matter more than ever. Looking ahead, the implications of this debut are significant. If this early success is any indication, the timeline for this partnership may accelerate quickly. What might have been expected to develop gradually over a season could instead progress towards major international competitions in a much shorter time period. This creates both opportunity and pressure, as rapid success often brings increased expectations and greater visibility. For Rose Oatley, this moment represents more than a single victory. It marks a transition into a new phase of her career, one in which she is no longer viewed solely as a promising young rider, but as a competitor capable of making an impact at the highest level. For Alive and Kicking, it is the continuation of a career that now enters a new chapter, shaped by a different rider, a different system, and potentially different goals. Ultimately, this story is about more than one competition or one result. It is about how quickly things can change in modern dressage, how opportunities can redefine careers, and how the balance of power within the sport is constantly shifting. It is about a partnership that formed almost overnight and immediately proved itself, raising questions about what might come next. And perhaps that is the most compelling part of it all. Because while the debut has already made an impression, it is only the beginning. The real test lies ahead, in the consistency of future performances, the challenges of higher level competition, and the ability to maintain and build upon this early success. So now the question is not whether this partnership can win, because it already has. The question is how far it can go, and whether this moment will be remembered as a strong debut or as the first step towards something much greater.